Kia ora, year 10. This video is going to go through some harder factorising of expressions where we've got both number, numerical, and algebraic common factors. So I've set some of you these questions on Dr. Frost Maths if you've finished the basic revision of year 9 factorising, but I haven't actually taught you how to do them yet, so here you go. Right, so these look terrible, but actually they're easier than they seem at first. Let's just go back to some really easy factorising, what should feel easy by now. So if we had, back in year 9, if I said, let's factorise 10x, take away 15, then what we do with that is we say, well, let's look at the numbers and see what the highest common factor is between the 10 and the 5, and it's 5. After that, we say 5 watts will get me back to the 10x, and it's going to be 5 times 2x minus 5 watts will give me 15, 5 threes. Right, so that's the end of that question. So the process we're going to follow for these ones that look horrible is exactly the same. The only difference is that instead of just having a single x and a couple of numbers, we're going to have lots more things to think about. But if we work systematically, we should be fine. So with this first one here, first we're going to look at the coefficients, or what you guys probably still call the numbers, right? What's the highest common factor of 33 and 44? It's 11. So 11 is going to be part of my common factor. Now let's look at the x's first. We've got x squared and we've got x cubed. So x squared is x times x, and x cubed is x times x times x. So the highest common factor here is x squared, the lower of those two. Right, now let's get rid of that so we're not confused. Now move on to the y's. What's the highest common factor of the y's? Well, I've got y to the power of 5 here, and I've got y squared here. So the highest common factor there is y squared, right? So here I've got y times y, and here I've got y times y times y times y times y. The highest common factor is y squared. So we're going to write that down too. Obviously, this is just the first step. Now, the same thing happens when we move to the next variable, to the z's. What's the highest common factor between these two? We've got z to the power of 8 and z to the power of 7. Now, I can't be bothered writing that whole thing out this time, so I'm just going to go straight to this. It's z to the power of 7. So that's my common factor, just like when we did the earlier one, when we had, I think, did I do 10x minus 15? The highest common factor was simply 5. The next step was to say 5 watts will get me back to that 10x, right? So we did this. And that's the step we're going to do now here. So we've got our highest common factor out. We're going to pop down a bracket, and we're going to say, what do I need to match everything up? So 11 watts will give me 33. 11 times 3. X squared times what will give me x squared? Well, I don't need to do anything, right? I'm already there. I've got my x squared. Now with the y's, I need to end up with y to the power of 5. So I've got y squared. I have to multiply it by y to the power of 3, right? Remember, because we add the bases. Lastly, what do I have to do to the z to the power of 7? What do I have to multiply it by to get z to the power of 8? Well, I need to times it by just z. So we're finished with this term. We move on to the next one. Don't know where that came from, sorry guys. Right, okay, so now we've got plus what? Right, 11 watts give me 44, 11 fours. X squared times what will match up to x cubed. Right, so I've got x squared sitting out here as my common factor, and I need it to match to give me x cubed, so I have to times by x. What about my y's? I'm just going to get rid of some of this so it's not quite as messy. I've lost the y term. There's the y, come back. Let's just take out these little underlines. Okay, so where are we up to? Well, we've done 4x. We don't need to have any y's because it's matching, and we don't need to have any z's. So that's the final answer for that. Right, so we call that factorising because I've now got this written as my common factor times all of this. I've got a couple more examples on the next page. These are really similar to the ones on Dr. Frost, but I've made up my own examples, so I don't want to steal his. So I want you to pause the video now and just try to do those 3 yourself. So take out the number common factor and then look at the A's, the B's, the C's, the X's and the Y's. Right, do them nicely in your book and then unpause the video when you've had a go, and we'll go through them slowly. Okay, so question number 2. The highest common factor here is 4. That's in the numbers. The highest common factor in the A's is I've got a to the power of 1. Right, that's invisible 1 there. And I've got a cubed. So the highest common factor is going to be a. In the B's, the highest common factor, again, is going to be just b. And I don't have a highest common factor in the C's. So that's my factor that I'm taking out the front. Now we say, how do I get it to match up to this? So 4 times 5 will give me the 20. And then I'm there with the A and the B. We move on to the next one. 4 watts will give me 4. Well, I don't need to do anything there, so that's good. But here I've got A. A times what will get me A cubed. I need to do A squared. Now, B times what will get me to B squared? It'll be times B. And then I've got C to the power of 4. And you can always check these by working backwards and expanding. All right, so let's get rid of some of the mess so that we can see what's happened. Right, we've looked at our numbers and we found our highest common factor is 4. We've looked at the A's and we've got our highest common factor here of A. Same with the B's, and there was no C term in here. Then the next step is to do all of our multiplying to make it all match back up. On to question number 3. The highest common factor here is 5, between 15 and 20. The highest common factor in the x's is x squared. And the highest common factor in the y's is just y. So we've got 3 plus 4x cubed y to the power of 6. Let me just check that. Does that give me 15x squared y? Yep, it does. That's 20. Yep, that's looking good. Right, one last one. I'm going quickly because I need to go and grab dinner. So hopefully this isn't too fast. So the highest common factor in the numbers is 19. Highest common factor in the A's is A squared. Highest common factor in the B's is B. And then it's C cubed there. Right, what do I need to times through by? The 19 is good, the A squared is good, the B is good, and the C cubed is good. So that all is just times by 1. Now that's a bit weird, but we can talk about that in class if you don't like that. Minus 2 A squared B C squared. Now guys, I've done those in a real hurry, so the chances that there's a little mistake in there is not 0. Please email me if you found one and I will try and fix it up. Thanks for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.